opening week has come and gone, and on this fourth episode of Leading Off, ESPO and I are going to recap the past weekend of games. And then we're going to talk to somebody who's very familiar with the Monday nights here on Twitch, Tom Wospil of my other baby, Savages in the Bronx. So he's going to jump on tonight to talk about the greatest Yankees and Mets to play for both teams. So that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be on tonight's bracket. First time we're doing that segment on tonight's show. All that and more tonight on Leading Off. And we are live. And welcome back to the show on this fourth episode of Leading Off, live from Studio 69 in New Jersey and REM Studio in Staten Island, New York, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. And welcome back. It's Leading Off. It's another Monday, Mr. ESPO. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It is finally opening day for my New York Mets, but for you and your Bronx Bombers, you're already well into the season. But alas, baseball is here, and we are finally full steam ahead with the MLB season.
Yes, and for all the Met fans out there, I do apologize for this scheduling conflict of sorts on this Monday, April the 5th, 2021, as, of course, the New York Metropolitans have taken the field against they're playing tonight. Oh, I'm good at this. They're playing the Philadelphia Phillies. So they are playing the Phillies.
I could have went to the game if I wanted to because, it's only a short drive down 95, but.
Of course, and you got the new haircut to boot. Like, you're ready for opening day, sir. I can sense it. I love to see it. Espo, I have to ask you a question, though, because it's been a week since our show, but what was your reaction when you heard the news on Thursday, Mets Nationals postponed? I want to see the genuine reaction besides the head down, because I know it was more angry.
Jeff Passan tweets, "Motherfucker, are you kidding me? God damn it. Like, come on. This is just classic Mets luck, on the eve on the eve of the season, we had some great news, which we'll get to that, but just terrible luck that we were supposed to have a primetime matchup, Scherzer DeGrom. I was looking forward all week to it. I even took off work, but alas, they got screwed out of an opening series, but it was the right move. There was really no other decision for the MLB. I mean, you can't go forward with that series with the uncertainty of your team having COVID or not. So they made the right move.
We'll get into that and more in one of our topics of Ducks in the Pond. But yeah, fuck, man, you took off for opening day and you didn't even get any baseball on your side. Oh my God, right? That's awful. That is awful. But speaking of awful, the Yankees obviously didn't go. Well, let's start off with the best of opening week starts. They dropped their series to the Blue Jays 2-1. They have a game in progress with the Baltimore Orioles at the stadium. Currently scoreless game, but we'll get into that and more. But before we get into Ducks on the Pond, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at LOffPodcast. You can follow ESPO at
The Life of ESPO.
And you can follow me at Rich J. Rivera. And we always love talking baseball, but let's talk about some of the news and notes happening around the league on Ducks on the Pond, our weekly segment. And, of course, we can start things off with opening week. I mean, this is the biggest, not really a huge topic, but there's so many things that happened in the span of the last 4 days.
How do we get to it all, Rich?
So, of course, I made mention of the Yankees. They struggled against the Jays. The offense was rough. Some bright spots, over the weekend. Corey Kluber had a good start in his debut with the Yankees. But, yeah, they struggled mightily with the Blue Jays pitching, which, for many people are saying they're very unproven. But then I saw these arms in the back of the bullpen, Jordan Romano and Julian Merriweather, making names for themselves this weekend, bud.
I know. I mean, you got to give credit to the Blue Jays. They had a great offseason, and they've really revamped the pitching staff. Obviously, you have Ryu at the top, and after that, a whole lot of question marks. But so far, those questions are looking like answers. I mean, I know it's only been 3-4 games, but even Steven Matz, former Met, had himself quite a ball game today against the Rangers. I think 6 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. I would take that if I was the Mets, but he's gone now. But I wish him the best. But yeah, I mean, Blue Jays, they're going to be a problem this year, and I know in my blog article, because I saw you promoted that. Thank you. My own blog, the ESPO Experience. I wrote about some bold takes for this upcoming season, and among my bold takes was that the Blue Jays were going to falter in face of their expectations this year, and so far they have spit in the face of those projections, but it's early, so there's still plenty of time for Steven Matz to give up 7 runs in 2 innings in his next start.
Right, and very early you mentioned there, and you know what I love about opening week is, especially if you're for fantasy baseball owners, is just looking at like how many like these ridiculous batting average stats and who's the home run leader, and then like you love having those fantasy owners that just like overrate that player. So obviously there's one we're going to really talk about, but I'm looking here on MLB's website, like the batting average leader right now with a 692 clip is Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles. There are 5 people tied in the lead for stolen bases with 2, and there's 16 pitchers tied with the lead in ERA with 0.00. So I think it's always funny to look at the very early stats and see who's on top of the games. But like the biggest story as far as individual players is concerned has to be Yermin Mercedes over in Chicago. I mean, the White Sox rookie catcher started off his career. Started his season rather 8 for 8 against the Angels. I mean, that's pretty impressive, but is he worth a pickup in fantasy baseball right now, Espo?
No, he is not. He is going to be a flash in the pan. I could be dead wrong on this. Maybe he's the next Johnny Bench. Maybe he's the next Elston Howard, as we alluded to before the call, but he's just your classic example of a guy just catching fire early on. And I mean, he put up video game numbers his first 2 games. You can't expect him to do that every night out. And quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if he's hovering around the Mendoza line by the end of the month. But good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, great for him. I saw he got a nice picture with Albert Pujols and Mike Trout while he was at Angel Stadium. That's gonna be really cool.
Three goats in one picture.
Yeah, they were claiming they took the picture with him, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, but cool. I remember this happening in 2009, like one of my first fantasy teams. And this guy comes up with the Marlins and is off to this fantastic start. I'd have to get his numbers up, but his name was Emilio Bonifacio. And I
remember that.
Insane start with the Marlins, and I picked him up after day one. After day one, he was putting up these big-time fucking numbers. I was like, I'm going to take this guy. He's going to be my sleep. No one's going to know. Like, he's going to be freaking great this year, and he fell off the face of the earth like the next week.
I will raise you Emilio Bonifacio.
With?
I will raise you with Chris Shelton, 2006 Detroit Tigers.
Yes.
He hit like 10 home runs in his first 15 games, something like that.
I believe it was 9 homers in 13 games or something
crazy like that. And just
wild.
Started off flaming hot, and then after that just fell off the face of the planet.
Yeah, by mid-season, he was sent down to AAA, and I think by the following season, after spring training, he was cut. I think he was traded to the Rangers. So, yeah, it's funny when those things happen. So, for fantasy owners, I mean, I'm just going to say maybe lay off on Yermin Mercedes unless you really need the catcher. I know the catching spot is a bit abysmal when it comes to offense, but yeah, it's fun to see Mercedes off to this great start. But let's not get crazy here. We have some comments already in our chat on Twitch. Thank you guys very much. Corey Fabs, who's been a regular in our chat, says LFGM. Let's fucking go Mets. We have from Expert FME. This is a new chatter we have here. Steven Matz was long overdue to be gone from the Mets. There is only one Johnny Bench, obviously Johnny Bench.
Sure.
Lindor leading off for the Mets. Pop up to left. Okay, he's calling the game. So that's cool. Thanks guys for showing up on Twitch. And of course, just make sure if you're new to the show, you can follow us on Twitter at LOFT Podcast or at Loft Podcast if you want to say it like that. Next, let's talk about Lindor. Since our new buddy here in the chat brought him up, Francisco Lindor. So since our last show, it was only a couple days, if not, I think the next day after we did our last recording of leading off, that Lindor got his contract with the Mets extended for 10 years, $341 million. Espo, what was your initial reaction, and what do you think of the deal?
My thoughts on this deal, I would have to defer to Mr. Jerry Maguire. Show me the money! Francisco Lindor got paid. Did he deserve it? It remains to be seen. We'll have to wait 10 years to find out. But, I think it was a slight overpay on the Mets' part. I don't know if he's a $340 million a year player on the field, but let's not even look on the field. Let's talk about his just impact as a franchise player off the field. He's the face of New York now for the Mets. And it would have just been such a terrible look if they traded those assets to get him and then he leaves after 1 year in free agency. And I'm getting really theoretical here, but let's just say he went to the Bronx. That's Steve Cohen, their reputation. They could never recover from that. So, yeah, they had to pay a little extra, but it was the deal they had to make.
I said it last week on the show. It was a matter of when, not if. We knew the guy was gonna return to the Mets at some point, or stay, or rather return, but stay put with the Mets at some point. Yes, it is an overpay, but I think also you look around baseball and look at these contracts and like, all right, who's not overpaid? Maybe the one argument is Trout because he is, by far arguable. Well, I want to say arguably, but I also say by far because I just don't think anybody's still replaced Mike Trout as the face of baseball yet. But yeah, everybody's overpaid in one way or another. Baseball's gotten ridiculous with these contracts.
Not me, Rich. I'm not overpaid.
No, you're not overpaid. You make $0, and you'll continue to make $0 as you continue to work for me. So, but Lindor's not worth $0. He got his money. Listen, you got Stevie Cohen paying big bucks for him. He's going to shell out for Conforto soon. So good on the Mets. They got their guy. So now we can move on from Lindor. And we're going to keep talking about the Mets, obviously, because tonight's opening day. So this is a big day, holiday for Met fans, a little belated. So it must have been sad watching other teams, do their thing over the weekend. Well,
there was major FOMO over the weekend.
Met fans, yeah, exactly, sat at home and watched other teams play, which is, again, not really a feeling that Met fans aren't used to. So
they just went down 1-2-3 in the first. The season's over, Rich. I'm out.
The season's over. 0-0 game in Philly at Citizens Bank Park, beautiful ballpark out there. But it all started with the Nats, beginning to see. Now that the Nats got the postponement treatment because of a couple of COVID positives in their clubhouse, and now they're beginning their season tomorrow. So just kind of talk about this for a little bit before we bring on our guest. Is baseball doing the right thing by these COVID postponements? I know you brought it up a little bit before on the intro. I don't want to get too political, obviously. I don't want to do this left versus right deal. We're talking baseball at the end of the day. But if we're talking
right, I we're switch hitters.
Okay. So if we're talking just a couple of cases, is baseball doing the right thing by moving these games over, or should we take into account like if there's a certain amount of players, then we can move the games? I feel like when there's just one case, baseball just like, all right, we're moving the games.
Right. I mean, yeah, I guess on MLB's part, they have been rather quick to make that change, to make that determination of, okay, we're going to cancel the games. And I'm just trying to think of their reasoning here. And I feel like they want to just reduce the liability because, for now it could just be one guy, and let's hope that it's only one guy, but you can't know for sure whether or not there's an outbreak or not. So I'd rather them err on the side of caution early on in the season rather than see a situation where, what we had the Cardinals and the Marlins last year where they were shut down for multiple weeks at a time. So yes, it is unfortunate that the Nationals have had games canceled, but I guess it's kind of like pick your poison, would you rather cancel these 3-4 games now and, be sure about it that you're going to be okay, or play the games and potentially risk infecting two teams, and then that's more games you have to cancel. So ultimately, I feel like it's just about the liability for them.
Baseball has the advantage of more than a 60-game stretch, obviously, to put games
and flexibility, not like the NFL.
To figure out doubleheaders. So this is definitely going to be a season where, I think baseball is going to take advantage of the fact that, hey, like we have enough time. If we have to move games, we'll move games. If a couple players go down or a couple staff members go down, I hope there is an easier way to figure out, because I personally think if it's one person and they can identify the one person and quarantine them and make sure that, hey, listen, it's nobody else. Let's figure out a quicker process to get.
I'm all for that. It just seems like in this case it was more than one guy. I mean, it seemed like the entire team was in
right. And I think initially it was one, and then they stressed it was a couple more players, it was a couple more staff members. So they did the right thing, but obviously tough break for Met fans. But obviously we're getting baseball today, so good for Mets Nation. But we're going to move on from Mets Nation over to Yankee Nation real soon because we're going to bring on our special guest. And our special guest, he's very familiar with the Monday night programs here on Twitch. This guy is the co-host of Savages in the Bronx. He's not the better co-host, obviously, but he is the co-host of Savages in the Bronx, ESPO's favorite show, obviously, which, of course, you can tune in later tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time right here on Twitch. Mr. Tom Wospil joining us.
How we doing, boys?
What's up, Tom? So now here we go. Our worlds have collided officially, leading off in Savages in the Bronx. Takes 4 episodes, and we all get together right here on this stream.
We are. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Both Yankees and Mets playing right now, so a little bit of distractions going on, but happy to be involved.
Yeah, and as you hear in the background, I'm sure Tom is listening in on the Yankees game, which currently, of course, it's no score unless Tom has seen otherwise. I'm just getting the feed from MLB.com. Mets and Philly also no score right now. So yeah, well, I'll continue with the score updates, but obviously, Yankees had a tough weekend, Tom. We're going to talk a little bit about it more on our show later tonight, Savages in the Bronx, but we have a job to do tonight. It's going to be a bracket, and this bracket is the first for leading off, and hopefully the first of many. But we're going to talk about the Mets and Yankees. So we're bringing this whole leading off Savage in the Bronx thing together, the Yankee fans and Met fans together for this bracket, which we're going to determine who is the greatest player of all time to wear both the pinstripes and the blue and orange. We have an 8-seed bracket, and we're going to start it off with, and we'll go in the order of Tom, ESPO, and then myself. I have to break up a tie. We're going to go with Robinson Cano or Darryl Strawberry.
So this one, a bit on paper it looks kind of lopsided for Darryl. Although, Darryl did not have the best Yankee career. He did play for them for 5 years. Obviously, as a Met was unbelievable. Cano as a Yankee was unbelievable, and as a Met has, been suspended and all that. But I think at this point you got to go with Darryl in the first matchup here.
Espo, what do you think?
I'm in agreement there. I have to go with Mr. Strawberry. I will say there was a bit of bias on my part as a Mets fan. I have nothing but resentment for Robinson Cano. He's been suspended for juicing, and he's going to cost us the next Mike Trout, or he already has in Jared Kelenic. Let it be known that is the official position of the life of ESPO.
It's also the position of my fantasy baseball team.
Yes, this both of our podcasts are very high on Jared Kelenic. Yes. Let it be known. But I got to go Strawberry in this one here. He's like Tom said, he didn't necessarily have the better numbers with the Yankees. Definitely more better stats with the Mets, but between the two guys, I just feel like Strawberry's had a more illustrious career. So got to go with him.
8 straight All-Star game appearances for Darryl between 1984 and 1991. Obviously, the better career with the Mets. But yes, I'm going with Darryl Strawberry as well, even though you already decided that. So moving on, we got Carlos Beltran or Robin Ventura.
Ooh, both guys, had more of their heydays with the Mets. Beltran signing the big deal with the Mets, famously looking at a strike 3 curveball from Adam Wainwright, Chris Carpenter, one of them. It was a curveball. He looked at it.
Wainwright, and it's burned into my eyes forever.
So there's that. That kind of makes me want to vote for him. I think Beltran's the better. Beltran is by far the better player of these two. Carlos Beltran is, probably a Hall of Famer at some point. I don't know how much of this whole being suspended for the Astros situation will come into play, but he's definitely the better player. I think I'd go with Beltran here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Tom there. I'm going Carlos as well. Robin Ventura, he did have some good years with the Mets, but I feel like I remember him more as a White Sox with his heyday. But I got to go Carlos here. He's got the stats, he's got the legacy, and he's probably going to be in Cooperstown. So give me Mr. Beltran.
Yeah, Adam Wainwright, curveball forgiven. At least on my end, because I don't really care. But yeah, I would have also went with Carlos Beltran. Moving on, we have David Cone or Curtis Granderson.
I'm going Cone here. Cone had a very good career with both teams. Granderson did have some nice times with both teams as well, but I think Cone's impact is greater than the Grandy man.
Oh, this was probably one of the tougher ones we have on this bracket here. Like Tom said, Cone had a lot of great years with both squads, Mets and Yankees, as did Granderson. But man, like I said, this was definitely the toughest one. But I got to go with the Grandy man. I don't know. It's just he just was a crucial part of some key teams. He wasn't on that 09 Yankees team though, was he?
He was not.
No, he wasn't. Oh, yeah, came after. Yeah.
Okay, but he was definitely a key part of the Mets in their postseason run of 2015. So I'm gonna go with Curtis here.
I'm going David Cone. I'm with Tom on here, not because he's my co-host on the show at 8:00, Savages in the Bronx, of course. Follow us at Savages Bronx on Twitter. No,
I like to know that you promote our show as much during this show, because usually during the other show you throw so much love leading off, and I'm thinking like, does he even care about us? Like it's.
The love is equal. And of course, we have the benefit of being the first show of my Monday Night Madness. So, of course, I'm going to be promoting the show for later tonight and then using the platform later to promote the show for next week with ESPO and I. Cone's numbers with both the Mets and Yankees was kind of like the criteria I was using. I was more like following who had the best numbers with both teams. I mean, Cone here, like the Mets here starting in 1988, 2.22, 3.52, 3.23, 3.29. The Yankees, just based on ERA just alone here, 96, 2.88, 2.82, 3.55. Cone, I think, had the better career with both teams as opposed to Granderson. But I feel like Granderson, I think it was very similar, similar stat lines with the Yankees and Mets. But I'm taking the pitcher. I'm taking Cone here. So moving on, last matchup here of the first round: Doc Gooden or Al Leiter.
I think this is another pretty tough one. Gooden obviously is, behind Tom Seaver, has the best career pitching for the Mets. He was so electric in the beginning. Obviously, he had his own issues after that. He threw a no-hitter for the Yankees in 96 after being suspended and all of that. So it's, you got to love that. Him coming off, he's like doing this. Yeah, that's a big moment and a big year for the Yankees. Leiter, I think I go Gooden just honestly because it's how good he was for the Mets. I think you got to go Doc.
Yeah, I agree with Tom there. I think you got to go Doc. Cone had some great years for the Mets. I don't remember him having. I'm sorry, we're not on Cone. We're on Leiter. Leiter definitely had some great years with the Mets, late 2000 or late 90s, early 2000s. Excuse me, I'm thinking of too many numbers here. But I got to go with Doc, man. I mean, yes, he's one of the ultimate what could have been stories in MLB history. He could have been one of the best pitchers ever, but even so, he had some just spectacular years with the Mets. That rookie year in '84, and then of course his Cy Young season in '85, two of the better single season pitching performances we've ever seen. So
I think actually would take Jack Leiter. Could I just take him and just make him a Yankee now?
Oh man!
If you just give me Jack Leiter, then
Jack Leiter is going to be a career Detroit Tiger, part of that Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal rotation, Matt Manning. But M took 45, and Expert F and me are both going with Doc, and so will I. So that's unanimous there. All right, moving on. Next round: Darryl Strawberry, Carlos Beltran.
I mean, Beltran had more. I mean, his career more. Both better times with the Mets. We know that.
Yes,
Beltran had a better time with the Yankees than Darryl did. But I think Darryl's highs as a Met, and Darryl did play a role on some of those 90s Yankees teams. He definitely was there. He had the bout with colon cancer as a Yankee, which is always just one of those things I always remember growing up of that whole situation playing out. He just didn't. He didn't play that much for the Yankees, but I still think you go Darryl here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there, Tom. It seems to be the classic argument of peak versus longevity, and it seems like Beltran, well, he certainly had a more lengthy career. Just seems like Darryl Strawberry's best years.
Better player too.
I'm taking Darryl Strawberry's best years over Beltran's best years. So
yeah,
I think I got to go with Darryl.
Darryl Strawberry's best years you take almost over anyone's best years. He was scary.
Him and Doc both. It's just like the ultimate what could have been if they just kept their heads on straight. But
yeah.
I love it. Darryl moves on to the finals. We got David Cone or Doc Gooden. Who's joining Darryl in the championship round?
I'm taking Coney here. He had, again, Doc, electric for the Mets, one of the best Mets pitchers of all time. But Cone was able to, he pitched 7 years for the Mets, 6 years for the Yankees. Was on those 90s Yankees World Series teams, won 20 games in 98, pitched the perfect game in 99, which always going to have a special place in my heart, being in attendance for that one.
Wow.
I just got to go Cone. I think he did more for both. He was great for both teams. He was truly great for both teams. Where Doc, I don't think, was great as a Yankee.
I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Tom. I'm going to have to go with Cone as well. Doc, he had a great peak with the Mets, but like you said, he had his moments with the Yankees, but overall kind of lackluster Yankee career. Whereas Cone, he's had success and consistent success with both teams. So got to ride with Mr. Cone.
Yep, I agree. David Cone. It's a great pick, guys. It's amazing the numbers he was able to put up. Like in between his age, let me get the age up here. His age 24 to 28 seasons with the Mets, and then with the Yankees when he was in his early to mid 30s. I mean, he's still making all-star teams. I love the numbers I'm seeing here for David Cone, current color analyst with the Yes Network. So David Cone got my pick as well, and he is our winner of tonight's bracket. Great job, boys. So David Cone is our winner. Greatest player to wear both the pinstripes and the blue and orange of the Mets. Great bracket there. Obviously, plenty of honorable mentions we could have gone through. Bartolo Colon, none better than him probably to mention. Orlando Hernandez, Gary Sheffield, Ron Swoboda. The Todd Father. Ricky Henry.
You could have had all Tom's River, Al Leiter versus the Todd Father bracket.
Yes, I like it. All Tom's River bracket. That sounds good to me, and possibly a segment down the line. And in the chat here, MTuck45 says Cone is one of the most underrated pitchers of all time.
I mean, it's kind of silly. I know we're running out of time here, but it's kind of silly that he had a very good career as a Met, he had a very good career as a Yankee, and he won a Cy Young in between with the Royals. So, I mean, David Cone, he really had a great career.
No, yeah, 100%. And Tommy made mention too, we are running out of time, but of course, we appreciate you jumping on the show. I'm going to see you in about a half hour, sir, for our program, Savage in the Bronx, which of course everybody can listen to 8 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. Tom, any final words before you let you go?
No, we're good. Thanks for having me on the show, and I know you boys will close this out better than anyone else could.
Maybe your Yankees will score some runs by the time your show is on.
Probably not. They're going to get shut out. It's
not looking good.
Not looking great.
Not looking good right now against the old Baltimore Orioles. All right, Tom.
See you, boys.
Good talk to you, buddy. Take care, bud. Mr. Tom Wospil. Savages in the Bronx, of course, you can check out in a half hour. I haven't plugged my other show this much on an episode of Leading Off before, so I'll make sure to to reciprocate with the Leading Off plugs and promotions in 30 minutes on my other show. But ESPO, yeah, unfortunately,
master advertiser Rich Rivera.
Yes, of course. ESPO, unfortunately, we are at that sad moment of the show where we have to let everyone go. Is there anybody you want to thank before we end the show?
I'd like to thank Steve Cohen for ridding us of the travesty that is the Wilpon family. I'm finally watching Wilpon-free New York Mets baseball. So thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Yeah, thank you, Stevie Cohen, for keeping such a stud player in New York, and hopefully we see many great years of Francisco Lindor until he eventually signs at the age of 38 with the Yankees. So, on that note, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Twitch, our Twitter followers, Tom Wospil, of course, for being a great guest for tonight's show, and Bracket. I want to thank David Cohn for having such a great career with both the Yankees and the Mets. I want to thank my co-host of being a good sport, as always. We'll see you here next week, folks, for another edition of Leading Off. I'm Rich Rivera. Take care.